Welcome and thank you for joining us for today's broadcast. My name is Eliana Raggio and I am from Digital Airstrike, and this is a first for us. I know it's a first for me. We are doing our very first YouTube live stream. Want to know why? Because that smart lady told us to. That's right. Do you recognize her? Well, let me tell you, today's broadcast is all about driving reach and action with YouTube. So we brought in the big guns. We brought in the head of Automotive Retail at Google. Yeah. And YouTube. And Lissette Gole is here today, and she's going to talk to us about all the kinds of things that you could be doing at your dealership, even at any business really, that will drive awareness, engagement, loyalty, all from using video. So we're going to talk a lot about that. Very timely indeed, coming up into the last quarter of a very interesting year. And so we have a lot to cover today. But before we get to that, before we even say hi to Lissette, I'm so pleased that she's here. I wanted to tell you a little bit about her. Lissette Gole is, of course, the head of Automotive Retail at Google. She's based in Detroit, Michigan, where she lives with her husband and her two beautiful sons. She's passionate about helping dealers increase sales, profitability, and customer loyalty through harnessing the power of digital tools and technology. Her 15-plus year career has been dedicated to the automotive industry across multiple OEMs. And prior to her automotive career, she spent several years working in the marine sector, including leading F&I at personal watercraft dealerships. Outside of automotive, she's passionate about health and wellness and has even founded a community to help women live their best lives. Today, however, she's going to help us live our best lives, because 2020 is not the year I was going to expect it to be at New Year's Eve. Lissette Gole, thank you so much for doing another broadcast with me, and thank you for encouraging me to do this YouTube live today. I'm so excited. Doing a YouTube live stream is my very first. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm thrilled to be back with you, Eliana. I'm thrilled to have this conversation about YouTube on YouTube live stream today. So thank you for having me back.
Oh, are you kidding me? This has been a year that has been trying for a lot of people, certainly for a lot of businesses. Now that everything is going back to school, that's not the same either. So we're still learning to pivot and to adapt. And of course, I think a lot of people are going to look back on 2020 and say, oh, that year stunk, or they'll probably use different words. But in all honesty, this has been a year of tremendous growth, not just on individual levels, but I think for a lot of businesses out there, certainly for the auto industry. And we're going to talk a lot about that today, and how the changes that have happened in 2020, are they going to stick around? Are customers liking it? How are dealerships faring? I mean, so many things that we have covered today, and Lissette came prepared with a whole bunch of awesome stats and interesting things that we're going to be discussing today. So Lissette, I know you have a lot of interesting things to get to in this hour. I'm going to turn it over to you. How do we drive reach and action using YouTube? Where do we start?
Thank you. That's a great setup. So, before we dive into YouTube specifically, I want to take a look at the trends that we've seen in 2020 more holistically. So as you mentioned, it's been a different year. And we know that 2020 has brought in major disruptions in the automotive industry more holistically, including vehicle forecast declines. But I want to take a look for a minute at the large upsides that dealers can rally around, because as you mentioned, this has been a year of change. This is a year of learning and a year of pivoting. And so when we look at the future, in the next 4 years, we will see more vehicle options than we've ever seen before. There will be over 50 launches just this year alone. And there are expected to be over 50 EV models by 2022, with many of the OEMs saying that their fleets will be EV by 2025.
Wow.
And then yes.
Whoa. So talk about change.
Yes, we're at a moment of change, and with change, comes having to adapt and adjust. But that's really what we're here to talk about today. The other things to be really excited about is that autonomous technology has really come to the forefront as top features for vehicles that consumers are interested in. And we know that they are really integrated into all of the vehicles going to market today. And then when we talk about the move to online retailing, nearly 10% of new vehicle sales in the first half of this year were online. And that is up from just 1%, Eliana, from 2018 when we were conducting our research then. So what this really means is that innovation in the retail experience is helping us meet the growing customer expectation of a frictionless purchase experience. So the first half of the year really helped us understand that shoppers were willing to experience the auto process online. They're leaning into it. And the dealers have, of course, moved very, very quickly to make this possible, which really brings all of this together as we look at some of these new trends that are emerging.
First of all, your first slide is already knocking me for a loop over here. Okay, and it's funny that you put on there autonomous vehicles, because Google was really heavy into autonomous vehicles. Are they going to continue? Can you share that with us?
Yeah, so this is related to the technology that's in every vehicle right now that's really helping make the customer experience easier when you're in the vehicle. Autonomous technology where, you know, it can help you park your vehicle, et cetera. So that has really become integrated into even separate than autonomous vehicles. The technology is there, which is really great to see that this is just becoming standard and commonplace.
It's funny. I really think that even though the auto industry has said EVs are slow to adopt, that shoppers just don't want them, they still want their big gas guzzlers, I still think that, especially now, I mean, I already know like 7 people who bought EVs this year. And it might have been because those great incentives that were being offered, and why not this year? But I still think EVs are going to take off at some point in the near future. And I was curious what you thought of it. I know we have a lot to get to, but curious what you thought about the EV movement.
Yeah, I mean, the models are being built. So, you know, they are coming to market, and with any new large change, it takes time to adopt. But there will, you know, if we're looking at over 50 models by 2022 coming to market, and that now gives the customers choice. And within that, you know, comes a lot of growth. You know, and obviously there's a huge focus on the environment as well with that.
Yeah, and I love your last point about the retail experience. And I noticed you didn't put a qualifying word in front of it. So I'm just going to bring it up right now, because a lot of people, you know, I mean, the buzzword the last 3 years in the automotive industry was digital retailing, you know, and then 2020 happened, and then the new buzzword was virtual retailing, right? But I think you over at Google, is that what you refer to it as? Digital retailing, virtual retailing? What do you use at Google to describe
that's great. And
that
you're actually
online experience?
You're teeing me up for the next slide to talk about customer experience, which is great. So we at Google refer to it as online retailing, and you're right. There are a lot of phrases that are essentially meaning the same thing. So digital retailing, virtual, online. So we're using the phrase online retailing. And what we mean by that, Eliana, is that it's the infrastructure that allows the purchase process to be completed mostly or completely online. And so in that, you can, in an online retailing experience, from the first point of research all the way down to the, you know, having the vehicle delivered to your doorstep, that can be completely done online now, a full end-to-end experience. That is online retailing. But online retailing is also, it comprises the hybrid model, where they could do most of their research and shopping experience online, but maybe a customer still wants to finish that last delivery in the dealership. That's still part of online retailing. And then you have e-commerce technology that's really fueling that end-to-end experience in order to bring all of that, you know, online digitally today. And so I love the timing of your question, because I want to talk about what is driving online retailing specifically, because really what we're seeing is that buyers are driving this change, and what they're looking for is a customer-led, frictionless purchase experience online, and they're really ready for it. So we recently we do a lot of surveys at Google, and we recently completed another survey to understand sentiment and what was happening with this online experience. And we found that 73% of shoppers are comfortable right now negotiating their purchase, their lease, or their financing terms, either completely online or with a mix of online and offline, or that hybrid model of online retailing.
Wow.
And then we have 66% are comfortable experiencing the vehicle. So that could be feature highlights, walkarounds, and doing so either completely online or with a mix of online and offline. And then 52% of customers right now are comfortable getting that vehicle delivered to their home without ever having visited a dealership physically. So
That is vastly different, I think, isn't it, than what you had seen in years past?
So what we've seen in years past is that more and more research was happening online, and it was really priming for this change and this experience, because we've seen even years back, and I know we've talked about it together with the customer research. They used to go into 5 dealerships, and now they go into 1. So we've been moving toward a more online first model for some time, but this last mile of the purchase, and then the financing terms and all of that has really emerged over the course of the first half of this year.
Those are big numbers. Do you think
They're big
is this one of those things? I know we're going to get into which trends that were happening in 2020 do you think are going to stick around? But these numbers are 73%, those are really big numbers. And I can't imagine that they're going to dip back down that much when we get on the other side of COVID-19. And I know I'm asking you to put your Karnak hat on and try and figure it out.
Yeah, no, so we actually asked customers what they think about this and what their expectations are. And recent new vehicle purchasers have their own opinions about the future of this process.
Okay.
So I'm going to lean into what the customers are saying, which is 67% of them expect an enhanced dealership communication online. And that is now and in the future. And 65% are expecting to have more online options to purchase a vehicle. So the customers are expecting that this will be the way forward, that this will have longevity. And again, I go back to the hybrid model, of having the option to complete this entire journey online, or if you're a customer that wants to do most of it online and still wants to visit the dealership, pick up their vehicle, they'll have that option too. And so really though, the strategies and the platforms that dealers are using to reach their audience is also going through a disruption. So we're looking at the customer experience and what the customer wants, but we're also looking at what's happening in the media landscape. So specifically, I wanted to dive into what's happening in the media landscape right now and how that transitions and aligns to what we're seeing in the video landscape for YouTube.
Let's do it.
All right.
Oh.
So in 2020,
which one of the hurricanes was this one?
yes, it's a perfect storm right now of what we're seeing in 2020. So if we talk about the customer expectation shifting, we're seeing a shift in the media landscape. So 40% of adults are either cord cutters or light TV viewers. And what that means is that they're watching only an average of 1.5 hours or less of TV a day. So that doesn't mean that they're watching less video. That means that they're watching less TV. And so we're seeing a continued shift where people are consuming video content with more and more streaming options. So we've seen Peacock, HBO Max, recently launch their platforms in addition to Apple TV Plus, Disney Plus. So there's been a 28% growth in time spent streaming, and we're only expecting that to continue to grow as well.
I was going to say, I always see people online saying, what's the new, what new, show should I start watching? And they're streaming I know I've done at least 3 of them. So during quarantine. So, wow. So traditional, advertising, on, commercial television, not really the place to put your money behind.
It still has a place, but because there are less people there, we also need to have other options like streaming, like YouTube, online video to reach those customers. And what we really want to talk about is not only reach, but once we've reached them, how to connect with them. So it's important to not just focus on one medium for video. It's important to reach customers where they are. So I actually want to talk though about navigating the dealerships through this shift. And when we talk about TV, before we dive into YouTube, we actually looked at a study in 2019 with Moffett Nathanson, and they reported that large cable and satellite TV companies are losing 5.5 traditional pay TV subscribers. And that is a significant increase of what we saw over 2018. And we saw that 71% more people cut the cord in 2019 than they did in 2018. And so what we're seeing is an acceleration in how people are watching television outside of linear. So we just talked a minute about, the rise of streaming happening, and that's all happening on demand in real time. And then when we looked specifically at Q4 2019, we continued to see that acceleration with over 1 million households cutting the cord in Q4 of 2019 alone. But I want to emphasize that doesn't mean they're watching less video. It means that they're doing it differently.
Yeah, how many streaming channels can one person have? I think I have like 7.
Yep, I have a lot too. Yes, yes. And this is all really important as we look at future proofing, because by next year, it is predicted that 82% of consumer internet traffic will be video based. And so what our conversation is today, to me, looking at all this research, is about future proofing the dealership within video to make sure that we're reaching our shoppers and they're coming into the store to buy vehicles.
Yeah. I mean, when you and I spoke at the end of June, for those of you who don't know, Lissette and I did a great webinar together. You can actually find it at digitalairstrike.com/webinars. Lissette, you basically said, dealers, if you are not utilizing video, you need to start doing it. Now is the time in your lead response, in your advertising, in almost every step of the customer journey. Video has a place and consumers are craving it. And that craving isn't going to go down anytime soon. Still feel that way? I mean, it's only been a couple of months.
Still feel that way. Sight, sound, and motion is so important, and consumers love it. And so, and they're actually continuing to spend more time watching video. And so that hasn't changed since we last met. But what I wanted to bring forward today too is that when people are staying home, video watch time is surging. And this was primarily driven by online video across platforms and across screens. So when I speak about across screens, that's TV, mobile devices, etc. So I want to talk through what is actually happening right now in terms of this growth and this change. So ComScore video metrics showed that the top video platforms of digital video, the watch time was up 50% year over year in total, and YouTube was up 39% year over year in total. Live TV watch time was up 3%. And we know that through Nielsen, that 85% of increased TV watch time was from the same people that were either heavy or medium TV viewers prior to being in a stay-at-home environment. So they're not necessarily net new TV viewers. They're the same people who were watching TV previously are still watching TV now. They're watching more of it. And those other consumers who are watching video online are doing more of that as well. So what this really means at the end of the day is that online video is accelerating. YouTube continues to be the destination with the largest reach and scale across audiences, and continues to be the place where we want to reach and market shoppers, because they were online before, they continue to be online now.
Reach,
right? Yes. Well, and when we're bringing in new shoppers, that really is the key, is how do we reach more people that want to come into our dealership that are in market to buy a car, because they are out there. So just a little bit more about YouTube and the trends that we're seeing most recently. We're now seeing that TV is our fastest growing screen, with watch time for YouTube growing 80% year over year in the US. So not only are people watching YouTube on their mobile devices, on their desktop devices, but now streaming it directly to the TV device in the living room.
Literally had to have my 12-year-old show me how to do that.
Yes, same. My kids are very tech savvy. Yes. So let's
totally agree with this.
So if we understand that people are watching more and more video, we understand that it is very important for dealerships to find auto shoppers. I want to now get into what this means specifically for automotive after we've looked at the trends where that 2020 has really accelerated. So when we talk about YouTube being a primary destination, this includes a vehicle's biggest moments. And you already touched on this, that YouTube can be beneficial across the shopping journey. So from a reveal and a first look to a highlight and a walkthrough, all the way to when a vehicle hits the dealership lots, YouTube is there to build that consideration. People want to look for reviews, in-depth test drives. They want to compare vehicles across competitors. And so this example here is what we saw for the reveal of the Jeep Gladiator. And what we saw was that people that were searching YouTube for the Jeep Gladiator during the reveal, they also continued to look to find inventory on the dealership lot and find out more information even after their extremely successful Super Bowl ad. So they were on YouTube looking for that information while all of these other vehicle specific events were happening. They're thirsty for that knowledge.
This is very, very interesting to me because, earlier you said, hey, there's going to be like 50 new models that are going to be launched. A lot of them are going to be EV. A lot of them we're never going to see. Like, I go to the New York Auto Show every year. Okay, so a lot of auto shows delayed. You're in Detroit, you should know. Delayed, not happening, pushed off. Some shows that were scheduled to happen in June are now pushed off until April. So these reveal videos, do you see more OEMs doing something like that, launching it online, reveal like that, and still can they get as much buzz as they did with the auto shows?
So we are seeing more OEMs really lean into these online reveals, and we have heard from OEM executives that this is a powerful platform and it is working for them. So I do, we will continue to see this for some time until we have auto shows, but and even beyond, this is opening up new doors to allow a larger mass of people to experience these reveals, both within and outside of an auto show. So the short answer is yes, we're seeing a lot of OEMs leaning into this.
Do you think they'll still do it?
I think so.
I think it's great. I can't travel to Detroit all the time to go to the Detroit Auto Show. I wish, but I think it's great. I think it exposes a lot of people who have that interest to that first look instead of having to wait. Well, this person waited 6 months to go from November 18th to actually seeing it on the dealer lot on April 7th. So I think it's awesome.
And that's right. It's another way to expand the exposure to your brand. Yep. And I don't think that will go away.
Fair enough.
Okay, so let's dive specifically into shoppers. So specifically for dealerships, we want to talk about bringing more shoppers into the showroom and reaching audiences that matter, that are in market, that are ready to purchase. What this Gladiator example showed us was that people are coming to YouTube at any point in the shopping process, to your point around reveal and how that's changing. And all the way down to being in market. So YouTube reaches 87% of people that will be in market in the next 12 months. So when we're looking to expand the reach of in-market shoppers, they are here, they are watching videos. 66% of target audiences that are reached by YouTube are incremental to those TV audiences, because of what we saw earlier is that video viewership is not declining, it's just changing in form. And what this research shows is that YouTube advertising is reaching new audiences that were not on TV. And you can extend your reach to a lot of new shoppers by being present on YouTube.
Wait. YouTube reaches 87% of people that will be in market in the next 12 months. That's through YouTube advertising, right?
That's right. Yes, that's right. Yes. And so we'll actually dive into, we have a lot of great formats that allow you to advertise on YouTube to meet your business need. So some of those can be, if you're interested in driving lead forms, if you're interested in driving website visits, we can offer formats that are specific to what you need for your business, because every dealership out there listening today has a different business need right now, in addition to, of course, selling more vehicles.
I'm curious to see if you think, I know you're probably going to get to it and I'm totally ruining the surprise. If you think video and YouTube can help fixed ops, because they need help too, so.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're, this slide talks about in-market shoppers, but fixed operations is really much of the same. So there are so many people looking for information and researching, even how-to videos, and then they may realize that I don't know how to change my brakes. I need to go into the service lane. I need to take my vehicle to a dealership. And so all of that research is also happening on YouTube as well. And so while this is talking about new vehicles, I would highly recommend that this strategy of using YouTube to reach the target audience that matters to you can absolutely extend into fixed operations.
Excellent.
Well, we will touch a little bit on it too, but let's continue to talk about it more, because that is an extremely important part of the dealership, and obviously one that we want to make sure that we are leaning into in order to keep customer loyalty within the dealership too.
Yeah, I think, and I don't know if dealerships need to take out an ad, but even just organic videos showing, how they sanitize cars, how sanitization specials that they're having, that they're delivering, pickup and delivery options that never used to exist before, or maybe they did, but they never advertised it before. I mean, there's so many ways that the messaging that's happening at your dealership right now, the people that are out there are craving that messaging. But if you don't put it, like, they don't want to read it, you have to put it in video format so that they actually are interested enough to see it, so man, video is where it's at. If there has never been a bigger video year than 2020, I'm just going to go on record and say it.
And to what you were saying, Eliana, those are differentiating factors that we want to put in a YouTube ad. So we want to talk about how we are sanitizing, how we offer pickup and delivery. Those are the things that are going to separate you from a competitor down the street. And those are the important things to talk about when you are advertising on YouTube, specific to your dealership. Okay, so let's get into a little bit around, I'll just touch on this quickly because we've already talked about this, but we did see when we surveyed shoppers that not only does video allow them to deepen their consideration process, so they take action, it allows them and encourages them to take action not only online, but also offline as well. So what we found was that 60% of shoppers in 2019 said that they visited a dealership website after watching a video. So they're spending time with this content, but not only for the sake of time. They are taking action that is substantial to the business, both online and offline, and really moving these qualified shoppers into your showroom. And a little bit more about that. In 2020, we've actually seen the numbers increase. So what I mentioned a minute ago was 2019. Now, when we conducted our most recent study, we saw that 2/3 of auto purchasers were watching an automotive video while they were researching, and 80% took action after watching that video.
Wow.
Now, so and what I'm seeing too is dealers are leaning into the video formats that are encouraging them to take action. So they're encouraging also visit my showroom, submit a lead. So these also are play hand in hand with what you are prompting the customer to do, and then what action they're taking as well. And so back to the comment that we had a minute ago, which is if you talk with your Google team, you can find the right ad format that meets the business need that you have today.
So those 80% of people who took action after watching a video, those were videos with specific calls to action.
Not necessarily, but
really?
Having a specific call to action helps the consumer understand what you're expecting from them.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Again, huge numbers. Let's hope this trend continues. That's awesome.
Yes.
And so we talked. This is incredible ROI. And
right.
I know you and I talked about this before too, back in June. when we were like, hey, you don't have to be a Spielberg to put out a video that people will want to watch. You know, I mean, hey, it's nice if you are, but you can put out a decent video shot just on your cell phone that still gets amazing engagement and still gets people to act on it. And wow, these are incredible numbers.
And you're right. It's, you know, relevancy is important and authenticity is important. So those are really the areas that we'll talk about targeting, but those are the areas to spend time in versus, you know, having to feel the pressure that it has to be high production or that you have to manually create a video for every single customer that you might want to reach.
Right.
And, you know, the final thing I'll say here is that we've talked in the past about what are they watching? So this is, you know, this is great information. We're driving action, but you know, how do we start to build video ads that customers are interested in? And what they are interested in, and we're still seeing in our data, is walkthroughs of the vehicle, vehicle reviews, vehicle comparisons, and test drives. And so they've been watching those types of videos for some time. Now they're just continuing to watch even more of those videos as this shopping process moves more predominantly online.
I don't blame them either. If they're not physically going or even able to go sit in the vehicle, then I mean, of course they're going to turn to video to try and get as much of that information of what it's like to drive that vehicle, the kinds of things that are in the vehicle. Like I know what a specific car looks like because I've seen it on the road. That doesn't mean I know what the interior of the vehicle looks like. So, I mean, video just seems like a natural extension in order to find that information out. So again, dealers, do more video.
And we're going to help understand how and where to put those resources too. So we'll spend a few minutes talking about that because trying to reach everybody is it doesn't have to be hard, but it may feel daunting as we're talking about it. So we're going to talk about how to simplify that too, to make that actionable. So we've talked about the what and why. Oh, I just skipped a slide. But what I've actually seen most recently is that most dealers have a monthly budget for search, social, endemic sites. But my question is, do you have a monthly budget dedicated to YouTube, given what we've just talked about today and knowing that your in-market shoppers are there? And so what we will talk about here is allocating budgets not only to in-market content, but also non-automotive video content, so that you can reach the shoppers that are ready to buy a vehicle from you, but maybe they're watching other content that interests them. And I'll give you a personal example of how that's worked for me even.
I was going to say, what do you mean non-auto? How are you going to sell a car to somebody if they're not an auto intender?
So if they're an auto intender and they're interested in boating, for example, we can reach that auto intender on boating content to further their consideration. So it's reaching them in other areas. It doesn't necessarily have to just be around in-market vehicle video. It's taking your advertising and also aligning it with the other interests that they have. So you're continuing to have a dialogue with them while they're on YouTube.
Okay. Was that the example you were going to give me?
No. So I'll dive in a little bit more specifically as we go through the examples, because I want to talk about a life event that when I was in market that actually triggered me to purchase my latest vehicle. So so that'll be a fun illustration.
Do tell. All right.
Leading into that, so the question, what I'm hearing is, great, this is wonderful. How do I reach these shoppers on YouTube for the dealership? So I've anchored these in 3 specific questions based on what I hear most from dealers. How do I find more valuable customers? How do I capture the attention of those customers, and how do I drive them to act? And then how do I measure the impact that this has on my business? So we'll dive into these.
Those are the 3 main questions.
So first, the overall goal that I encourage everyone listening to think about is to bring the showroom experience to your shoppers through online video. And we have already talked a lot about this. It's a great way to bring the dealership to your customers while they're at home. So video content showcasing your unique inventory, showcasing your sales team so they can get to know your sales team, all help drive consideration. So In this example, in the middle here, we talk about adjusted service models. So this would be a great, this is a great example within the fixed op space where you can talk about how we have changed the way we service the business. We have at-home pickup, we have door-to-door service. The sanitization, we can do all of this through video, and we would highly encourage that. To tell the story of what you've done over the last few months to make it an easier, frictionless customer experience to buy a car with you. And really, again, we talked about this, but just to hit home again, you don't need expensive production. Some of the most popular videos we have on YouTube are shot on a mobile device. So things that you can do with a mobile device are the test drives with a real salesperson. So they can, as you were saying, you can see the interior of the vehicle versus the exterior. Walk-arounds and highlights are all really great examples of how to do this in an easier manner without having to invest in high production.
I agree with all this.
Wonderful. So we'll continue to talk about then targeting and messaging. So I've touched on this a little bit, but when you identify your best customers around content and things they care about, you can reach them with specific messages that are relevant to them. And what we have found is that relevant video ads get 3 times the attention compared to a non-relevant video ad. So really understanding your audience's interests and what sets them apart will set your campaign up for success. So here I'm going to dive into my specific example. As an advertiser, you have the ability to target shoppers based on many scenarios. So for example, you can target people who are in the midst of a life event or a transition, like myself. So last year we brought home our second golden retriever. So one wasn't enough. She needed a friend. And at the same time,
Great dogs.
they are great dogs. Yes, they're very lovable. At the same time, I was also in market for a new vehicle. And so what was prompting my consideration was, can I fit 2 boys and 2 golden retrievers into an SUV? And what SUV would be right for me? So what would have been really beneficial and amazing was to see a video ad dedicated to trunk space and seating capacity, so that it would help me during my decision-making process. And I could have been reached at the time looking on YouTube for dog training videos, even though I was in market. So that is a perfect example of how to contextually reach the people that you care about where they are and with things that they're enthusiastic about.
No, that makes total sense, because I know my sister looked for a new car because she just had a baby. And so she wanted, it was a life event for her. So while she was being served up ad after ad after ad about all this new baby stuff, she was surprised that car ads were also coming up for her that were specifically more family friendly. And did she wind up getting? Yep.
Yep, it stood out to her. Yep, great timing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and another example too is what we call our custom affinity, but really what this is reinforcing to a shopper who maybe have been recently active on a third-party website like Edmunds. So for example, if I'm on Edmunds and I'm searching for a white Jeep Grand Cherokee because I'm in market for a new car and I now have 2 dogs, I can also be reached on YouTube with that same vehicle message to further that engagement. So dealers can do this through specific targeting as well on YouTube. And again, it goes back to, you know, business objective and how and when we want to talk to our shoppers before they come into the dealership. And then I'll give you a few more examples here too. These same principles. Oh, can you see?
Yeah, no,
Okay, great.
I didn't know you had more examples.
Okay. Yes, a few more examples. These same principles also apply to shoppers who are ready to buy now. So what we really were talking about earlier is I'm in the consideration phase. Help me decide where to go next. If you have a shopper who is ready to buy right now, they're really ready to make that purchase today, tomorrow, and the next week, you can also apply different targeting to make sure that your video is relevant to that audience. So for example, you could find people on YouTube who might be similar to the current buyers you already have in your databases. And that allows you to expand your reach to people you know are likely to shop and buy and service at your dealership. So that can all be done too with specific targeting options. So the takeaway here is no matter who you're trying to reach based on what business need you have across new, used, or fixed operations, you can find a targeting solution that delivers high ROI and does that for you.
Wow, that's a lot of information right there. I mean, I just don't know that there are dealers out there right now who are not doing some kind of remarketing. But if has the formula for a good remarketing campaign, has it changed in 2020?
I would say the formula is to reach your audience that you know is going to convert, at a time that matters to them in a very timely way. And so in that instance, it has not changed. More shoppers are online, so it's becoming more important. It's more, they have a lot of options, and so we want to make sure that your brand and your remarketing and your message is at the forefront. So the philosophies have not really changed. I will say what has changed is the technology is getting better. So, because there are so many shoppers online and because technology is growing, we can do this in an easier way than we may have been able to do 5 years ago. I'll give an example of that with dynamic video. So we've just covered 7 or 8 audiences that are really important for dealers. And to manually build a video to all those audiences is expensive and time consuming. So things that have changed in the area of remarketing is that you can use technology to do the work for you. So with dynamic video, automated marketing, you can do a few things really easily right now. You can show up at the key stages of the buying cycle. So in a remarketing campaign or otherwise, find your best customers, offer the incentives at that moment that drive action, and then you're going to measure your growth at every stage. So this is an area that we're really excited about because technology is able to do more quickly and easily what used to have to be done manually in order to reach the right person at the right time.
Well, I know you said earlier that dealerships should set aside a budget specifically for YouTube. And then you went over all these incredible numbers about the consumption of video by not just auto intenders, but people who don't even realize that they're going to be looking for a vehicle in the next 12 months, but they will be. So is there a formula you're recommending for that kind of budget that dealers should set aside specifically for video, or is it a case-by-case basis? What are you recommending to dealers?
It's a case-by-case basis, and the reason is we really want to make sure that it aligns with every dealer's business goals and where they are. So if you have excess inventory on the lot, that's one business goal. You need to move that inventory on the lot. If you're really looking to drive more fixed operations, that's a separate business goal. So what I recommend is to talk to your Google partner, and we will sit down and specifically discuss your business needs today, tomorrow, in the future, and build a program that works for that. So I won't give a specific formula because it is, we want it to be custom to your specific needs. That said, we will also be able to help you understand what the market looks like. So, how many people can I reach? And then we can talk about that. What I also want to address is that this can be help to make your dealership profitable too, because the goal is to have a strong ROI and reach customers that are coming into your showroom too. And so if looking at profitability for your dealership is a business goal, then we would want to talk about that too.
Profitability is also always a goal, right?
It is.
Okay, great.
So, let me give you an example of a couple of different scenarios that align with different business objectives. And because we do offer a variety of ad format options, so you can make it really easy for a shopper to take action based on what you value most for your dealership. So for example, you can, and we talked about this a little bit earlier around the customization and driving action. So you can have options that have your video prompt to drive an action. You can have them prompt the user to submit a lead form, Or you can have the ad, show your dealership location alongside that video so that they can more easily find the location. So these are all elements that we talk through at the earliest stages of understanding what the business goals are and how to set up the campaign in the right way for you. All right. And then I want to talk lastly about measurement. So this is the final slide before we close, but it is not because it's the least important. This is an extremely important piece of the pie to make sure that we're measuring each type of interaction that our shoppers are having across advertising. So similar to what we were saying around formats can be different, and we would want to talk about that. Each success metric can be measured differently too. So what we would, we'll speak with you, we'll talk with your agency, we'll make sure that we have the metrics in place to make business decisions off of your YouTube videos. So the key really here is understanding how your marketing impacts your profitability and impacts your ROI. So I gave you a lot. Let me wrap on next steps. So we covered today, obviously things that are happening in 2020, the longevity of online retailing and what that means for Google, how customers are exploring and finding your vehicles online now. So where to start? When discussing your next marketing and YouTube campaign objectives, you want to define your business goal first and then your marketing goal. And then you want to agree on the metrics that matter to you. So is it leads? Is it phone calls? Is it website visits? Is it something else? And then choose the right format. Yes. And all of the above.
It's always sales.
Yes.
I don't know if you heard, Lissette.
Yes. And a lot of these are proxy to sales. And that's exactly right. And then from there, we choose the right format, the right audience that helps you achieve those goals, those proxy metrics that ultimately drive into a sale. Create the video, and the power of dynamic video can help do that. And then measuring these metrics so that as your campaigns are ongoing and you start the next one, we're constantly learning. Now, we've had a 45-minute discussion on YouTube and a lot of information. So if anybody would like to learn more, please reach out to your Google contact. And they can also help provide you a YouTube specific playbook that we've developed specifically for dealers, as well as our new Dealer Guidebook 2.0, which is the evolution of Dealer Guidebook, again, built specifically for automotive and dealers. So these will give you the information you need to activate on everything that we've talked today. So these will be a really great starting point coming out of this conversation.
Both sales and service.
That's right. And we look at new, used, and service as well.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. Okay. I still have some follow-up questions. Did you have,
Great.
You don't have a slide after this, do you? Okay.
Okay. No, I have a closing slide, so we are good.
Okay, good. Okay. First of all, amazing stats, awesome information. You never disappoint me, Lissette Gole. But I did want to talk a little bit about, okay, so you said, hey, consumers are hungry for this video information. Do you feel that once we're on the other side of COVID, do you think that consumption of video is going, let's say specifically, automotive video? Do you believe that consumption might drop a little bit, or is it going to be even more important? I mean, I know I'm asking you to predict the future.
Yeah, so I won't predict the future, but when I look back at the trends that we've seen, not only over last year, but of the last 6 months, we're continuing to see the utilization of online video and the importance of it. So yeah. I will pause from predicting the future, but all signs point to that this continues to be very, very important in terms of your business strategy, and an area where, I think the video landscape is changing very quickly, very holistically, and online is only becoming more and more important.
Yeah. It was funny because when I first got into the automotive industry, which was right around the time of Cash for Clunkers, if you can remember the crash.
I do remember. Yes,
a month before the crash. Okay. But I do remember way back then, aside from Cash for Clunkers, everyone was talking about content is king. So is it now? Is it video content is king?
Video content is key to a robust advertising strategy. It really is. So, again, we talked about that power of sight, sound, and motion, and customers are really leaning into that. So I would say definitely video content needs to be at the top if you're looking at your advertising mix.
Okay, agreed. Okay, something we did not hit on, and I'm sorry, I got to take you out of video mode for a quick hot
Okay,
second.
no problem.
We have to talk about Google My Business pages because, over here at Digital Airstrike, along with the importance of video, because I mean, we launched our own video platform, Video Logics, just before 2020. Like, how timely, right? But is Google My Business optimization. So we're telling people a lot of changes have been made to your business. You might have been closed. You might have shorter hours. You might have different specials. You can put video on your Google My Business page. There's lots of things that Google is doing specifically on GMB pages that maybe a lot of dealers didn't know, but real fast, could you cover, hey, dealers, if you didn't know, this is some new stuff that GMB does now that you should probably be taking advantage of.
Yeah, absolutely. So you named a few. So the incorporation of video is one. With everything happening with changing hours and just business changing so rapidly, we have features that allow you to set temporary business hours, in addition to just changing your normal business hours. So I would say if you are working on a temporary business hour schedule, you can absolutely do that within Google My Business.
Mm-hmm.
You can offer that you do vehicle pickup and drop off and remote services. So I would absolutely recommend that if that's part of your business strategy right now, put that in Google My Business. Those are really going to be the key areas right now, in addition to video, as you mentioned, because I think those are so important, and right as things are changing just so rapidly, and the ability to make sure that that's reflecting the true status of your business.
Agreed.
It's the first place I go anytime I need to find a restaurant, a shop is open. So those new features are really, really beneficial.
Yeah. Zero-click search, the whole thing, right?
Yes.
If you need help with your Google My Business page optimization, you can always turn to Digital Airstrike. We got some experts over here on it as well. So lots of things that you could do. And Lissette, back me up. Your Google My Business page is not a set it and forget it. You should update it every once in a while, right?
Absolutely. Add new photos. It really is a way to showcase your digital storefront. So it is not a set it, forget it, and it should be updated to really, show the best of what you offer to your customers.
Yeah, I would say even change it seasonally because, and speaking of seasonally, we're coming into Q4, always one of the best and strongest. And let's hope this year, big, huge car sales at the end of the year, right? So we talked about ad programs that you could be doing, specifically video-based ads that you should be doing. What can dealers maybe put a bug in their ear a little bit with holidays coming up? Can you give any ideas on what dealers can really do to capitalize on ad spend specific to video, or even not specific to video, that they should be thinking about now? And I hesitate to even bring this up now, but I know for a fact there are a lot of dealers out there who don't even think about putting together an ad campaign for Christmas until like December 1st. Then they're like, oh, we should do a Christmas ad campaign. But like, really, shouldn't they be starting in maybe October for all the holiday things that are happening?
Yeah, absolutely. And that allows time to do actually these things that we have up on the screen, is, really defining the goals, the marketing objective, without feeling like there's a rush. So pre-planning to the best of your ability is always really important. I would say the things that I want to see is putting as much online as you can. So assume that the first place they're going to go to see and learn about your dealership, your inventory, your fixed operations, your parts are going to be online. So if we have that mindset of that is the first point of discovery, video is obviously going to be really important. We talked about all the ways we can do that. We have tools through search where you can put in, dynamic inventory. And so there's a lot of ways that you can put everything that you have to the forefront in search, in video, in GMB, et cetera. So that to me is really what I would love to see happen this holiday season is really assume that is your first point of entry. And then everything else, if they choose a hybrid model, comes after. So all of the best that you have, and anything that distinguishes you from any of your counterparts, make sure that you're showcasing that online too.
Yeah, if you now you could do a lot of this in-house, making your videos in-house, delivering those videos. You could do that. Certainly, updating your content of video library on your YouTube page. Totally, you could do, or you can ask for help. Certainly, Digital Airstrike is here to help, and we have a very large virtual retailing platform over here at Digital Airstrike, end-to-end service for your customers to give them that seamless, effortless, efficient. What was the word you used, Lissette? Frictionless customer experience online. Right. But I did want to bring something up. I'm subscribed to the updates from Think with Google, and they are awesome. Audience, I'm telling you right now, go right now and subscribe to Think with Google, because the stuff that comes from there is just, it's great insight and just so, anyway, I was reading a recent one, and I wanted to bring this up because I loved everything that was in this article, but a few pieces I want to get your feedback on, Lissette. First of all, this author of this most recent one said e-commerce used to serve brick and mortar, but now brick and mortar serves e-commerce. Change your mindset, because those big, beautiful buildings, it almost doesn't matter. You have to sell them online to get them into the building, right, Lissette?
That's right. And that's to your earlier question around what this holiday season and leaning into online is the first point of contact. That's exactly right.
Yeah. Okay. So continuing on, this author for Think with Google said, the COVID-19 pandemic has caused a decade's worth of retail disruption in just a matter of months. Heck yeah, it has. For consumers, the crisis has made necessary more important than choice, resulting in digital shopping behaviors and expectations that are more sophisticated than ever. Retailers should expect these newly developed behaviors to stick. For instance, Ipsos surveyed and found that 83% of U.S. shoppers said the pandemic has changed the way they shop from now on. And more than 50% said that they're going to continue to take advantage of curbside pickup services, even as restrictions are lifted, as long as those services are still offered. And this is important too. When it comes to the upcoming holiday season, 74% of U.S. shoppers said that they plan to do more online shopping than they have ever done in previous years. With all of that said, Lissette, how much of what auto marketers do, how important is it to do it on Google with video, using everything that you can online? When you showed us those seven different audiences that are out there, how many of those audiences should we focus on? All of them?
Yes, you should focus on all of them to the best of your ability. So, in-market shoppers are, of course, at the dealership level, we want to bring people into the dealership. What you mentioned in that article, though, really holds true for automotive as well, and really is, I think, at the essence of what we've talked about today, which is the customers are ready for this in automotive. The dealers have met them where they are, which has been amazing. And so now the changes are already in place. And so it's a matter of making sure that we are using them to the best of their ability and talking to the customers in the way that they expect. So one of those areas is this concierge service. Customers really expect that end-to-end service to make life as easy as possible. And so that will continue as we've seen in all of these trends and as we move into the holiday season. But they are ready for this. Their expectations have changed. They've had this in many other parts of their lives for so long. And auto really is the next piece of where they have really adapted to a comfort level.
I feel like their expectations are pretty high. And so we have to keep putting out better online efficiencies for them to get that sale. So dealers, if you need help, Lissette's over there at Google and I'm over here at Digital Airstrike, and we're here to help you any way we can. Lissette, this hour flew by with
It
so
sure
much
did.
great information. My head is spinning with all the great information that you shared. But I can't let you go without asking you some personal questions. So first of all, how's online
Sure.
schooling going for you?
Yes, we are taking it day by day. Yes.
Me too, kid. Me too.
Yes.
um, but you know, we're all hoping that everyone is staying safe, staying hopeful, and that things get somewhat back to normal, even if it's a new kind of normal. But is there something out there that you have taken advantage of, like curbside pickup, that you've taken advantage of during COVID-19 that you never thought you would get an opportunity to? But here it is, 2020, you got to get a delivery from CVS.
So to the point of curbside pickup, I love my Target shopping. I'll get my drink and I will leisurely peruse Target. And I have not done that. I've been doing their curbside pickup. They put everything in my trunk and I head home, and that's been really delightful. So I think my shopping habits will change as well, just knowing that they've adapted, I've adapted. And so I expect for me that to last a little bit of time. And then my coffee Target shopping will become even more leisurely.
Agreed. I love curbside pickup. And then last question I always ask all of my presenters, what do you miss? What are you hoping to get back to once you can get back to it? Like I've said it before, NFL season is starting this week. I'm so excited. But I mean, I miss a live concert. I'm itching to go to a live concert. Is there something like that for you?
Oh, I think that's a great one to go to a live concert. I think we will take a really great vacation when all of this is done. So I'm used to traveling a lot, and so that will be something that I'm looking forward to. But I have enjoyed spending more time with the family, which has been great, even though the kids are learning virtually. So there will be things and silver linings that I take from this, into the next phase too. So that'll be good.
Yeah, 2020 has it has been a lot about pivoting and adjusting, but it is also about really appreciating maybe some things that we might have taken for granted before.
That's
So
right.
with that, Lissette Gole, I can't wait for the next time I get to talk to you.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to see you. Thank you again for having me back.
You're invited back again. I'm putting out the invitation.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lissette. Certainly, if is there any way people can get a hold of you or follow what you do, or are you going to be someplace coming up soon, virtually, obviously, that people can catch up with you again?
Yeah, so I can be reached at LinkedIn. So I have, my LinkedIn profile is public. And then if you want any of the resources, the YouTube playbook or the Dealer Guidebook 2.0, reach out to your Google contact and we'll get that to you right away.
You heard her. You heard her. Okay, that's Lissette Gole, head of Automotive Retail at, little company. Might not have heard it. Google. Anyway, Lissette, thank you so much. Wishing you and your beautiful family health and happiness all the year long. Thank you so much for being here. I'm looking forward to the next time you and I get to talk again.
Me as well. Thank you, Aliana.
Thank you. All right, everyone. That was today's Digital Airstrike live YouTube live stream. What did you think? You loved it, right? I know. I got to do more of these. If you want to find out more about what we do or what we have coming up, please visit digitalairstrike.com/webinars. I know we call them webinars, but we do all kinds of things. We do webinars. We do YouTube live streams. You never know where we're going to show up, and you never know who's going to stop by to talk to us. So keep yourself posted. And if you need to reach me, I'm Eliana at digitalairstrike.com, or you can find me like literally everywhere online. So don't be shy. I'd love to hear from you. And hopefully I'll get to see you on another Digital Airstrike broadcast. But for right now, on behalf of Lissette Gole, all the good folks over at Google, and of course, all of my wonderful coworkers over at Digital Airstrike, please allow me to tell you, stay safe, stay healthy, stay hopeful, and we'll catch you on another broadcast soon. Take care, everyone.